Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's XAUUSD webinar, live Forex market review. My name is Duncan Cooper. Before we move along, if everybody can read through the disclaimer. If you're on our YouTube live stream, I cannot see the chat, but I've given you a link so you can join us in the webinar and then you can talk to me then. Everybody else in the webinar, if you can read through the disclaimer, any questions to the chat box or the question and answer box. And Ricardo, I'm well, thanks. How are you? I'll just give everybody a moment or two to read through the disclaimer before we move along. All right, let's move along. If you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm a senior market strategist and trade mentor here at ACY Securities. And I'm a full-time Forex trader. I've been trading now for more than 15 years, mentoring for more than 10 in the Forex market. If you want to contact me, my email is there, duncan.cooper@acy.com. Through the week, you can connect with us at the website, acy.com, go to the market news tab, or our YouTube channel at ACY Securities Australia. And if you want to personally connect with me, my Linktree page is there. You can get all my links. Putting out some free analysis at the start of the week. You can find it there. When you have access to the chart layouts and templates that I'm using, so my MT4 webinar charts and layouts, then just contact Nathan.bray. I'll put his details in the chat, but his email is there on screen. He'll only be too happy to set you up. Just give them a contact. All right, so let's get into the news. We've got further US inflation news tonight after yesterday's inflation data, where the market past the US dollar flew up and then they've been starting to sink back down. We've had the FOMC statement where he's basically saying maybe we'll get one interest rate rise this year now. So that should be strengthening the US dollar. We've had the Aussie unemployment rate and change. A few more jobs coming in, but unemployment rate remaining the same. So tonight, 10:30 p.m. for the US, we have core PPI month-on-month, PPI month-on-month unemployment claims. These are my time, Queensland time. So this is inflation. It's probably going to come in similar to the CPI inflation data. I don't think we're going to see too much change. Tomorrow, we have from the Bank of Japan, usually 1:30 my time, policy rate, monetary policy statement and press conference. Yen pairs are very high up at the moment. So are they preempting no real change? Or who knows? But leading into there, pairs to the yen are getting back to the tops of their ranges. All right. And then tomorrow, moving into Saturday on the midnight, we have US prelim, UN consumer sentiment data. Okay. All right. So the big one for today is definitely the PPI data, but probably not going to be too much different to what we saw on the CPI data on Wednesday. But nonetheless, it can still be very volatile. So on the US dollar here, where we're getting support last week, I think we may be pulling back to put in a higher bottom here. We have two little high bottom, well, one high bottom here, but I'm just going to drag my fib from the lowest to the new high. We actually hit the 79% level yesterday. In actual fact, could be forming a little bit of a head and shoulder pattern there. So I'm expecting from that level, we're going to move up, continue that uptrend that's been forming. Okay. Inverse for the Eurodollar. Eurodollar could well be putting in a lower top. I know the pound went to a new high, but the Eurodollar didn't. All right, so structure here on the dollar index is actually in an uptrend, even though we've had quite a deep pullback. Is that pullback going to hold to continue up? S&P 500 flew up yesterday on the back of inflation data getting slightly weaker. So we've had a very minor pullback here, only very minor, up to the new high of the whole market. So difficult really to be a buyer at the top. Moving to the 4-hour chart, you could be looking at the 4-hour range, looking for a pullback. 62 level overlaps with last week's high, 53.75. So that would be a good area to look for a pullback to. Don't know whether we can pull back to that level, but if you're a technical trader, you're going to be trading at a technical level, not just jumping in because you're seeing it move up. So I would be looking down here. If it could get down there, whether or not it can, we'll have to monitor. But I don't just buy at the top of a move. I always want to see a technical pullback in an uptrend, and that can occur great. If it can't, I'll just have to be patient and wait for the appropriate pullback at some point. All right, so euro dollar daily chart, first of all, inverse look really of the dollar index. Now dropped, rallied to the 62 level of this range and the 62 level of this range. You can see we've withdrawn. We are just holding above this level of support here, 108.04 in the figure. So is that level going to hold to have another day up today, or will it break? So it's just sitting on support at the moment, waiting for the next news item. Structurally, on the 4-hour chart, we're actually up. We've moved to a higher top, but it was coming up to fill the imbalance. Came back up to hold 4-hour support. Now this, of course, can still come back up here, could come back up to the 79% level or up to 108.84. Maybe it's still got legs. So you have to make a decision, are you on the buy side or the sell side at the moment, because the day chart trend is down, 4-hour trend is up. Does it have any more legs to the upside? So at the moment, all I can tell you from the buy side or the sell side is it's just sitting on top of support. And the US CPI data is going to, sorry, the PPI data is going to potentially determine, is it this going to hold a support or break, which makes life a little bit difficult as a trader. But we do have an imbalance here. If I had to make a decision, I'm not going to before the data comes out, but if I had to, this imbalance probably needs to get filled. So that would be suggestive of a move down. All right. So ahead of there, if we do, if we do get a trend line break here, close below 180.04, do you want to get short to move down? Or you could be looking for a break to the upside, being 1804 being support. So we've already actually had a break to the upside in terms of a trend line break. There's been one here, and we're sitting on support. So you could be getting long here, stop just below here to get long, or you could be waiting for a break to the downside, depending on your, how you want to position yourself. Are you bullish or bearish? Don't forget where the trend is on the day chart. It is down. So what is your position? Okay, my position is much more following the day trend. I still feel like, with the more data coming out in the evening, this could still get up to the 79% level if it really wanted to up here. So I'm going to wait till after the news release and see what happens. That will be a higher level that I will be watching at the moment. Just try and short. Euro yen. This is the area I put out on Tuesday. It's at, right now, as I'm talking, it's at the historical monthly high from 2008. Over here. Yes, we've traded above it over the last couple of months, but we're not able to hold above there, and we're right at it. Okay, monthly trend is up. This weekly trend is kind of putting in a lower top here, potentially. Of course, we've got the bodge coming out tomorrow, so that will determine if we can trade higher or not, or are we going to start to continue a reversal down. Daily, it's a bit mixed. That's a higher top, lower bottom, then a higher bottom here. There's a minor lower top here. But the thing that I'm noticing is Thursday, Friday last week, we held at the 169.95 monthly top. Did trade above a bit on Thursday, held there Friday, and we traded fractionally above today, but we're right at that level as I talk. Is that going to be resistance to move back down to retest last week's low at 168? Now, there's no signal here on the 4-hour chart yet, and there is no signal yet on the 15-minute chart, really. Not a signal of a strong reversal. There's a trend line not broken yet. So I'll need to be watching price action here for a signal that maybe we're turning. Not quite getting that yet. But we try to move above, and we're just asking the question, can we still move up or not? So it's worth watching that area to see if price action starts to tell you that maybe we're holding there later in the day or a move back down. Euro pound, still monitoring for a rally back up to broken support. So at the moment, it's not getting there yet. Back up to, no, I just deleted everything. Back up to broken support at 84.92 and 84.98. This little area here, weekly, monthly support that was. So there's a gap there that needs to be filled potentially. So doing anything below that area at the moment is a bit risky because you could be getting short and then it wants to come up and fill the gap. So the higher probability trade is to wait for price to come back up and fill the gap first of all, and then look for the trade down. Pound dollar. Now it's right at last month's high at the moment. They just got a day chart. Rushed up yesterday, took out a whole bunch of stops above these highs here. This high over here too. This is last month's high here. Rejected it. We can't close above. We have once, but really we're not closing above 12800. And we're pretty much at that level right now. So it's not wanting to commit above there. We could well see a topping out process starting to happen at 12800 to move back down the range. All right, we're very high up from, we failed here previously. We false broke it, failed, false broke. That looks like a false break yesterday. So looking up here would be the area to look for a short. I'm not going to buy up here. I can either do nothing or look for a reversal at the moment. All right, so it is in an uptrend on the 4-hour. If I wanted to be a buyer on the 4-hour, I would need to see it pull back further across this 4-hour range, maybe to the 79% level, where this consolidation was here. Now, we're nowhere near that at the moment, so I don't have that as a mode of operation, but here I can see that once we move back below 12800, we're not moving. We can't, entertain getting back above at the moment. So later in the day, I just want to see this range here. 62 level overlaps with 128.27. Big, strong weekly resistance level that we false broke. All right, at the moment as well, you can see through the close in New York, we were starting to hold below 128. Through Asia, we couldn't get to 128, and in London session, we're just tickling 128. Not committing above. So I would be watching after the news later in the day, what's happening at 128 and what's happening at 128.27. See this 128.27, so let's go to the weekly chart, this area here. On the 15-minute chart, it's already proving to you up here, it broke below, it became resistance on a retest, it came back up. All right. See how it became support? That support got withdrawn to become resistance. So it's flipped up there. So we may well see a revisit here at 128.27 today, if we can get above the figure. So it's going to be the news that gets it up there. Probably won't get there without the news, the volatility of the news. So at the moment, I mean, you could be looking to short at last month's high, 128. Stop, maybe above here. Or 100 pip stop, shorting at 128, stop at 129. That gives you a good 40 pips of room above this high. If you're very bearish and you haven't taken the opportunity to get into a trade yet, or waiting for the news to come out and see where we're sitting. Keep talking about these imbalances. We haven't quite filled it yet, but we filled most of it. Getting excited up here and getting long up here when you see these big candles, price will often come back to fill it. There's the start of it. So we haven't actually filled it yet. So I would say there's a high chance we could fail here at 128 to come down and fill that, and then come back down to 127 where we started the week. All right. I think there's a high chance of that. All right, so after the news, I would watch 128 and 128.27, and down here at 127.09, that's support. So from a buy side perspective, from 127.09 down to 126.75 is the buy side, and that's the sell side up there. You can see where we're at. We're at the sell side at the moment. So don't be a buyer at the sell side, and you don't really want to be a seller on the buy side either, unless you've got short at the top and you're expecting the buy side to break. But at the moment, we're nowhere near the buy side. But we could certainly get down into the buy side today. We're only 100 pips away from the buy side. So what presents when the news comes out later in the day? Pound yen. Now it was holding, trying to hold anyway. I've had resistance, but you can see it did hold there for a while on the 4-hour chart, but it has traded above. And on the monthly chart, there's nothing much in the way at the moment. It's going to be a question of, can it continue to hold above these tops now? Trading above there at the moment. All right. Could start to watch for this top here, 200.74, to become support over the next few days. Depends what happens with the bodge tomorrow. If we move up nicely tomorrow on bodge news, over the next couple of days, expect this high to be support. Now, I don't know what the day is going to bring. I don't like to be a buyer at tops of moves. I'd need to see a pullback to an area of support. So, and I maybe would like to see this move a little bit higher before it pull back to this high to be support. So what I would be doing at the moment for the pound yen is simply watching to see what today brings. Does it get a clear close, good strong move above? Because by the end of the day, we could end up rejecting up here. False breaking. Because we are above this major intervention high. So I don't know if I want to be a buyer above this intervention high, especially with the Bank of Japan doing its thing tomorrow. So, might need to wait a couple of days to see how things lie after the Bank of Japan before starting to get into the bank, the pound yen or any of these yen pairs, to be quite frank. All right, Aussie yen. It's just a little bit beyond the area that I was discussing on Tuesday, but it's not really outside of the realm of not being in the area of reversal. Could have my fib draw, not from last week's high, but all the way up to last month's high up there. But really, this is at the moment until we get the bodge news coming out. This is just coming back to where we accumulated sell orders here to move down, back up to resistance. Now today, if we close back below this high over here, high from the day chart, we close back below this high again. That's negative. With the Bodge news, over the next few days, I'll just be watching 104.55 and 104.93. And as well, the highest monthly high from the monthly chart, this one over here, the next one up at 105.42, is all these levels, 104.58, we're just a fraction above, 104.93 and 105.42. We can hit all these levels tomorrow, the higher levels, and then reject. This isn't really where you want to be a buyer. Should have been buying down here on daily support or close to. Now we're up at resistance levels, and one of those levels, the 104.93 level, is the intervention high here. So if all these yen pairs get high up again, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think we're going to get more intervention again? Bank of Japan's not going to like it. So we could see some fireworks tomorrow. If the dollar yen goes up, Bank of Japan may come in and do something. So be aware of, sometimes you just need to wait past an event. Watch for levels for failure. All right, so those are levels 104.55, 104.93, and 105.42. What happens over the next 2 or 3 trading days at these levels? Do we start to see a reversal at such high levels once more? All right, I've been saying for the last week or two, we're in the top of a range here. We have support down here. Nothing's much changing. Maybe the bottom of the range is getting a bit lower. Maybe the top of the range is getting a bit higher. But nothing's really changing in terms of the structure. It's still sideways. So we're failing at the top. Potentially, we could still revisit here today. This is the area to watch today after the news for a revisit and a potential failure. Once more. You've got the 79% level at 66.84 from that high to low. You've got 79% level of that drop of yesterday at 66.89. So I would say from this line, 66.79 up to 66.89 at the moment would be a good zone to watch. Yes, we could come all the way back to retest this. We could actually come up to test this area as well. But quite clear, the market's telling you it doesn't like it up there. It's happy to get driven up there, but it just can't stay up there. Okay. So whether or not we have another opportunity up there to get short, maybe you got short yesterday. Now, we may stay in this range for, as long as it wants to stay in the range. So if it does come back up and hold once more to move back down here, or maybe it's already on its way down, the buy zone is down here at 65.91 to 65.78. The lower yesterday was something like 65.95. Yeah. All right. So from support, we went to resistance. I'll be coming back down to support. By the end of the week, we could be back down. That we could be testing this low for sure. Or we could just remain in the range, selling at the top, buying at the bottom. That's what the market's doing on this pair at the moment. So trade the outskirts till we get a clear break above or below. It's in the range. Our New Zealand yen is trying to break higher at the moment. It's very high up in terms of historical price action. Is very high up. I'd say buyer beware. Okay, tomorrow, when the Bodge does its thing, we may well test this high up here at 97.75. So that is the highest price I've got over since 1998. So what's that? Nearly 40 years. That's we're almost at the highest point. So generally speaking, we could fail just short of there. We could try and trade above it, but a lot of the time when you get to the historical highs, price will fail, and there's not a lot of room left to be a buyer before we get to that high. All right, we've got 60 pips. So depending on your viewpoint, we've probably already had it, so you probably missed the boat really. If we want to get long because it broke above last month's high, I was discussing this yesterday, this webinar. We pulled back to support yesterday, last month's high to be support, and now we've already headed up. So you could still rewatch for another test on the 15-minute chart down at 96.73. You can see there 96.73, and then these 15-minute lows is where support's coming in. So that's where you want to be a buyer if it can revisit. See more support here and here. False break here. This must have been a new spike or something here. So that's where support is. That's the optimum area to be a buyer on monthly support at the moment. Monthly, last month's high support. All right, but be very aware that we are, it's very high up here at the moment, almost at the all-time high on the dollar that I've got, which usually is quite dangerous to be a buyer at. So bear that in mind. Doesn't mean to say we can't trade above the high. I'd be much more inclined to watch, see what happens up here at 97.75 on the day chart, which is the all-time high, according to the dollar I've got, and just see what's going to transpire if we get there. Because if we start to see a significant reversal, might be able to get a tight entry on the 50-minute chart to get shorts, or just wait for a 4-hour chart reversal up there. And then, that could be the high of the year could be coming up here. All right. Just watch, see what happens over the next few trading days. New Zealand dollar, it's unable. It did just trade 1 or 2 pips above this previous double top, but it may well be creating another double top in the same spot. Let's put a line across here. 62.17. All right. We still have these high bottoms here, and it is to a higher top. So theoretically, we're in an uptrend, but quite clearly, rejection on that candle. Just from the buy side perspective, you could monitor this range. Look to the 62.79% area for support on a pullback. If you think we are going to move through the double tops at some point and you just want to be a buyer on a dip to an area where would be a logical area to watch. If you're more to the sell side, because you think, okay, we held here to trade all the way down to here, so are we going to do the same, trade all the way back down to 58.58? Then draw fib, look to the 79% level to the highs up here. What happens if we get back up there? Can you see your opportunities? So there's an imbalance just up there. Which actually got filled. this just dropped down here, got a fill, but it doesn't look like it on the 4-hour chart. Right, so if somebody's just monitoring, if traders just monitoring the 4-hour chart, they look as though there is an imbalance there. It's not really there on a lower time frame, but price could well come back up to that drop. All right, so 62.09, anywhere from 6,200 to 6,209 would be a good area to start to watch today if we got up there for price to start to turn around. Doesn't seem to be on these pairs to the US dollar at the moment. Too much of a bounce. Just want to drop back to, what's the pound doing? See, pounds filled at 128. Euro, just deliberating at the moment. Can it break below 108.04? Okay. All right, so New Zealand dollar, can it rally back up? These pairs may not get back to their sell zones of yesterday. They may or they may not. Yesterday could have been the time to look. When we had the CPI data rushing up to these areas, I know it's difficult to trade them because then about 4 hours later, you got the FOMC statement. All right. Sometimes it's just better to not be in. But then, of course, when you look at it after these events, you go, I wish I'd gotten in a trade up there after the CPI data. But sometimes you just have to manage the risk and take the risk total off the table when we get these major news items, because the FOMC could have come out and gone, okay, we're going to have 4 interest rate cuts this year now. And that would have probably blown straight through the tops. But nobody knows what's going to get said at that time. All right. Dollar Canadian. Now, this has had a 79% pullback on the day chart. It's trading into these highs to the left, so it's not in a very nice area at the moment. But it is holding to an uptrend here. It failed at resistance up here. It's pulled back to the 79% level. It really came down to fill the imbalance here. All right. I don't see anywhere where I want to trade here at the moment. Trend is up, but this is where I would want to trade. So price might come back down to this level. So I just simply watch to see if price could come back down to here again, 136.89. Because I don't want to trade into resistance. And if this breaks above here, then by the time it breaks above here, it's going to be headlong into the next area of resistance. So, trying to get long, I'd wait to see if, maybe the news can spike this down here today and then get support. And can you get in to move up? All right. Dollar franc. All right, this is where I highlighted on Tuesday. On top of weekly supports, weekly chart, this area here. Can't go back in time. We may revisit, so that's the level to watch on weekly supports. If the US dollar is putting in a higher bottom to its higher top, that's US dollar strength. So I'd anticipate we're bottoming out there in the dollar franc maybe. We can revisit down there. So it's around about 89.03 down to 88.92. So I need to redraw that fib. So the actual levels are 89.05 down to 89.92. All right. All right, dollar yen. It is holding where I said potentially it could be holding on Tuesday for this potential head and shoulder kind of arrangement. Just holding at resistance as it waits for the Audjpy data. So set the 79% level of this smaller range. Are we putting in some form of head and shoulder pattern there? We're probably not going to know until the Bodge data comes out tomorrow. So really for me, the dollar yen is just waiting to see what happens. If it was to go nuts tomorrow and scream north, well, watch to see what happens up here. 160, 138. Does it once more want to hold? Got a fraction short of a major monthly high last time. To go way back in time. Got a fraction short of this high last time, and then we got intervention. So don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You either take a position now, trading this pattern, and you might get some slippage if price breaks above this top where maybe you got your stop, or you want to take the risk totally off the table and you don't do anything until after the news. Okay, Azu, hello to you. So difficult on the yen pairs at the moment. A lot of them, apart from the pound yen that's broken above its last month's high or the previous month's high, all the other yen pairs are kind of at the tops of their ranges at the moment. Are they going to hold or go higher? We're just going to have to wait for the Bodge data tomorrow and then assess the levels. High, if this if the dollar yen goes up again, just gets us straight back into intervention territory. So it's very difficult to get long once we start moving up because there's the worry of intervention. All right, gold hasn't quite got down to the area where I was looking at on Tuesday, but the area could really be that low to this low, and that's where we got support last week. This week, so far, Friday came down into the area, Monday was in that area, and then we've pulled back up. We are making high tops and bottoms in the 4 hour. So a couple of areas, I draw a fib from there to there and look at the 79% level, 2298 down to support at 2286. Or I could take the tack that area is now finished with and look at the 2307 level, which we've been a fraction short of today for support to keep that 4 hour uptrend going. So maybe wanting to start to now hold above this area. So it's probably going to move up to want to fill the imbalance here. It's filled some of it. The imbalance still exists there at the moment after that drop. And there's another imbalance over here. So potentially getting support to come up to fill these imbalances. All right. All right, so we still have coming in late the US PP data, inflation data information to come out. We know what happened yesterday. The market went berserk. So I'm guessing this will come in similar, maybe 0.1% lower on the figures here to like it did here yesterday, which wasn't a major change, although the market did have quite a strong move. So if we get that data again today, we may not see too much volatility because the market's already kind of preempting that, I'm sure, expecting that kind of data. All right, but we may revisit close to the areas we got to yesterday. And of course, we found out some nice levels yesterday, so maybe those levels will get revisited or close to and once more fail today. That's what I'm going to be looking for later in the day. And of course, then tomorrow we've got the Bank of Japan's data release to look forward to, usually about 1:30 in the afternoon my time. All right, so be very much aware of these high items coming out. Better to miss out than get, too much of a disaster on your hands. Don't have the fear of missing out, and then you can't manage the risk, or it's difficult to manage the risk. Just whatever happens from these news items over the coming 2 or 3 days, something will set up at a level that you're watching, okay? So it's just a game of patience. Something will present. sooner or later as the dust settles and we see, which direction the market then wants to head over the next week. All right, I'm going to wrap it up at that. If you want to join me next week, I'll be back with you with more analysis next Tuesday, which is here. Just head over to the webinar page. The link's here at the top. And if you want to join me, I'll see you again next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Sydney time. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the week and a great weekend. Thanks.